Hey guys, it's Raul again, and today I'll be bringing you my October wrap-up. In the month of October, I unfortunately only ended up completing 4 books and got through half of a 5th one. October was just a crazy month. We were just super busy at work and busy with life and prepping for NaNoWriMo and everything that I just didn't really get the time to read as much as I wanted. I don't really consider it to be a slump because I was really enjoying everything I was reading. I just didn't really have much time to do it. And when I would finally sit down to read, I would get really tired quickly just because I had, long days at work and everything. So yeah, I still completed 4 books, which was still pretty good considering the fact that, scheduling and busyness and everything. But yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into those books that I actually did finish in October. So the first book that I completed in the month of October was The School of Good and Evil by Saman Chenani. This is the first book in a middle grade series about these 2 girls named Sophie and Agatha, and they believe that they are meant to go to the School of Good and Evil. So Sophie believes that she's meant to go to the School of Good because she does a lot of good deeds, she's really kind to people, and Agatha is just very introvert. She doesn't really talk a lot to people and isn't very nice. And so, they feel like she's destined to go to the School of Evil. And then when the schoolmaster kind of comes along to take the girls, they get switched and get put into the opposite schools that they think that they're going to get put into, and then kind of everything unfolds from there, you finding out why they were put into the other school, and it's just a lot of fun. I ended up buddy reading this book with my wife, actually. We started listening to this book on audiobook at the beginning of the month, and we didn't really get very far because it wasn't a long road trip, and we just ended up kind of buddy reading the rest of it. She picked up the physical copy and ended up continuing on with the physical copy, and I ended up continuing on listening to the audiobook, and it was just a lot of fun to buddy read with her and kind of give our opinions as things went. I know that she's been wanting to buddy read something with me for a while now, and I'm glad that we ended up buddy reading this, and we will definitely be buddy reading the rest of the series. I ended up giving this, I believe it was a 4.5 stars. It was a lot of fun. Toward the end, it got really action-packed. I loved kind of this magical, whimsical world, and it felt darker than I was expecting, which was nice because I kind of like darker type fantasies, and this was definitely something that did not disappoint when it came to the world or the characters. The writing was beautiful, the world building was great, and I just absolutely loved this first book in this trilogy, and I'm excited to continue on with the series. The second book that I completed in the month of October was an audiobook, and that was Rooms by Lauren Oliver. This was kind of also for my Read Your E-Reader readathon also, because I had this one on e-reader too, but then I ended up picking up an audiobook on from the library. And yeah, this was actually a lot of fun. This was Lauren Oliver's, I believe it's her first adult novel, and it is about this family that loses their father and kind of go back to their home where they grew up in to bury their father, to do their funeral and everything, and kind of all the things that start unfolding when they get to the home. There's this kind of ghost living in the house, and it gives us the backstory of the ghost and kind of everything that kind of previously happened with the previous owner, and then everything it's split up into different perspectives with each member of the family. So the mother and the 2 kids and their perspectives and their views on kind of their father and when their father was alive and kind of the things that happened in the house and the memories that they had within that house and everything. I actually really enjoyed this one. Lauren Oliver, to me, is just a great writer, and I absolutely love her writing, and this was no different. I really enjoyed the kind of family dynamic, kind of the messed up family that there is within this one, because this is by no means a likable family. This is not a great family that you are going to absolutely love reading about, but if you enjoy reading about unlikable characters and kind of messed up family dynamics and stuff, this is definitely something that I feel that you are going to enjoy and is written very well. I really enjoyed Rooms and ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. Now the next book that I finished in the month of October was At Night We Walk in Circles by Daniel Alarcón. This was the first book that I read for the Hispanic Heritage Month reads. I only ended up completing 2 books during Hispanic Heritage Month, but this was one of them, and I really enjoyed this one also. And this is a story about a boy named Nelson who goes off to be with kind of this traveling theater group, and then kind of the things that happen when he joins this theater group. He doesn't have the greatest life, so when he goes off on this kind of journey with this group, he kind of goes on in hopes of kind of finding himself and finding kind of new things and new adventures. And this book definitely gives us kind of multiple points of view with different stories and kind of the stories of each one of these members of this traveling theater group and everything. And I absolutely loved this one. I adored the writing style. From the moment I started reading this book, I just fell in love with the writing and the way that it was being told and narrated and everything. I was just so gripped and so hooked into this story because of this writing. Like, I absolutely loved this writing. Like, if I write a contemporary book, or whenever I decide to write a contemporary book, I want to write it in kind of this style because I absolutely adored the writing style. I really enjoyed the characters. I didn't think they were the greatest characters, but I really still enjoyed them. I enjoyed their stories and kind of finding out what was going on and their backstories and their different lives. I loved the representation of having, you know, these Hispanic characters and LGBTQ plus characters, and it was just an absolutely amazing story that was just very heartfelt and very deep and meaningful at times. And I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really, really loved this one and definitely want to try and check out more about Daniel Alarcón just because I adored his writing so much. And the last book that I completed in the month of October was probably my favorite book in the month of October, and that was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. And this is a adult horror novel that I buddy read with Di from Dice is 19 because we buddy read everything. And I absolutely loved this book. This book was tense. It was crazy. It was fun. It did have its problems. It wasn't perfect, definitely, which I will get into that soon. But this is about it's a post-apocalyptic dystopian world where these creatures have kind of come out of nowhere. Nobody really knows where these creatures came from or what's going on, what happened, why is it that these creatures are here. But nobody can look at these creatures because they will die a horrific death. Like, they will end up like committing suicide if they see these creatures. So everybody has kind of resulted to living blindfolded and kind of locking themselves inside their house, boarding up their windows and not really going anywhere. And this follows our main protagonist, Mallory, who is now trying to go from point A to point B with her 2 small children without being able to see anything. So they put on their blindfolds, they get on this boat to go down a river and get to their next destination. And it is absolutely terrifying and tense and crazy. And I just absolutely loved the whole concept of this book. And it jumped around between kind of the present and the past, so I loved that also about it, that we kind of got story or backstory of when everything started and how things began to happen and everything, and how people started reacting to this when they had no idea what was going on, and then the present story when she's trying to get from point A to point B with her kids. It was a wonderful, wonderful story, and surprisingly short one. The one main problem that I had with this book was kind of the relationship between Mallory and her kids. I did feel like at some points it was a little problematic, and the way that she was treating her kids could be seen as abusive at some points because of the way she kind of spoke to the kids and treated the kids. And if you guys have read this book, you know kind of what I'm talking about. And I was just a little irked by that relationship or the way that she was treating the kids. But other than that, like you can kind of understand why it is that she's treating her kids this way because of the way that they're living in this world. But I mean, at the same time, it's not very, like, it shouldn't be a reason to treat your kids the way she was. But either way, it was definitely a great book, and ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars just because it was so intense, and I absolutely loved the plot and kind of the intensity that this entire book had. And the last book I started but did not finish and get halfway through October was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I'm currently almost done with this one. I have about 100 pages or so on this one, so I'm hoping to finish this one before the weekend, but so far it's amazing. And like I said, last month, I think it was, I am going slowly on this one because I don't want it to end because it's the last book in the duology, and I don't want to say goodbye to these characters, and I'm so scared of what's going to happen. But I'm loving this one, and I'm purposely taking my time on this one just because I don't want it to end. But it is amazing so far, and I will definitely be talking more about my thoughts on this one in my November wrap-up, because like I said, I will definitely be finishing this one before the weekend. So yeah, guys, that is it for all of the books that I read in the month of October. Comment down below and let me know which ones were your favorite for the month of October, if you guys have read any of the books that I have read and what your thoughts were on them. Thank you guys all for watching, and I will see you all next time.